I
All
like
right.
that chick. She seems cool. All right, let me count us in here. Three, two, one.
All right. Welcome to episode 109 of the Narcissistic Music Disorder.
What's up, buddy? How are you today?
Great. It's
You
cold.
have any news for us, man? Anything exciting happening?
We
What?
have a guest
Yeah,
today.
You that can't be. Never. Tell me
love
all about it.
it.
It's our friend Drew Phillips,
Hey, Drew.
All the way from Cincinnati.
Cincinnati,
Yeah.
I man, welcome first of all.
which
And
was
I'm
discovered by the Germans.
so
Yes, it was.
It
A couple of
wow,
them.
you got I did not know I was supposed to do this level of research. I barely came up with my list, for today's topic.
That's a whole nother conversation.
So Drew, let me lay this out just for our listeners. Now you and I met, and this is hard for me to remember.
It's all
You
good.
were playing with Noah, right?
Yeah. And we came up to Michigan for a couple shows. And I believe that you're the one that helped put those together.
I did, but I
Yeah.
swear I had. Would we have played the Southgate House with you guys at one time, maybe with like
So
500 and you guys?
so that's possible. But I don't remember that. But
So
I
I
played a lot
met
of
you
gigs.
here
So
in Michigan.
I
I
believe
met
that's,
you.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, because yeah, and you made an impression, man. It was like, who is this cool cat that is like literally helping us? It was, it was a couple dates strung along a run. Um,
Right.
and it
And
was,
you guys,
yeah, it was just good
you
vibe. Like literally that I just remember the good vibes that you were so supportive and you helped us,
did you
just
guys
everything.
play all? Did you at that time when you were in the band?
Mhm.
Was it? Do you guys play in Ludington in my hometown with us at that bar,
Yeah,
Sandbar?
Sandbar. That's exactly what it was.
So I got to say this to, and I got to tell Benting this too, and I've told him this, but if I've told anyone who would listen, that night, that night was the best band I've ever heard in a bar, like the best sounding band I'd ever heard in a bar. And you guys at that time had maybe you're not playing with Noah anymore. You guys were all direct, right? You had
Yeah,
all
pretty
like
much. Yeah, that was
pre
the evolution of like I've played every way, but yeah, we went to IEMs and all direct, and I just love it. I still love it. If I can do it, I'll do it. Yeah.
so tell first of all again everybody getting a little nerdy on it, but so these guys they didn't have any amps on stage, everything was direct, they
Hmm.
had acoustic drums,
Yep.
and in front of the PA I remember just being blown away by how good you guys sounded, how cool the songs were, obviously Noah, great songwriter, great band, everybody played well, great energy. I mean, blew everyone away, myself included. But now you've moved on to something else. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. I'm doing two things now, and it's in my own personal journey. I've been writing songs with a partner, Aaron Chowcraft, and we have a project called Big Mood out of Columbus, Ohio, and it's
Okay.
we've been working on a record literally for like 5 or 6 years, but we spent the money. A guy named Sean Janoki is mixing it. He's in the UK. He mixed the Magpie Salute, and he
Oh,
played it.
wow.
Yeah, and he played in this band called Moke from the UK. They opened for the Black Crows in '99. Amazing guitar. He's playing guitar on the record. So I did it. We kind of did it the right way. Got the songs together, started to pitch around, found this guy, get the budget together because it's all self financed, it's all independent. And that will be coming out this year, and we're super stoked about it.
Not as
Super
stoked as I
stoked.
am. That's
Yeah,
Nice.
awesome.
and I can send you a couple of those tracks if you like the preview.
But of
Yeah,
Of
course,
and I'm
course.
happy to do that. And then I also play with Aaron, same guy. We put together a fun project called Full Moon Fever, which is a tribute to Tom Petty, and was supposed to be a one-off thing. Friends together, everybody's super musicians or whatever, and it's just kind of taken on a life of its own. So now we have shows booked throughout the year, and
how fun is that?
we're doing that, dude. I'll tell you what, man, it's the easiest band I've been in for a couple of reasons. It's the people, right? People were prepared, everyone's good, but you don't. I mean, there's no promo. You're playing Petty songs. What do you do?
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
right.
like, well, the songs are good. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right, right.
Um, and like, there's so many great singers in that band. I sing. I don't call myself a singer, but I sing, and I love the harmonies. But um, I'm like the fifth or sixth best out of seven. So, you know what I mean? And the seventh person just doesn't sing. So there we
Hey, you
go,
guys.
man.
Hey, you guys. This is terrible. I'm gonna have to abort mission here a second. I told you. I fucking told you this would happen.
You can blame it on
Um,
me though. It's
no,
cool.
it has. I gotta see. So what happened is I'm gonna have to. You guys talk among yourselves a second. I gotta
Please.
figure something out. So you guys talk. We might. And the good news is, I can often when this happens, Drew, I find out where our glitch was, and I just punch us back in, and we're
Oh, no
rolling.
worries.
So you guys talk among yourselves. I'm gonna Scott. I apologize. I hope I don't get fired.
No, you're fine.
Um, I'm gonna go clean up this computer. You guys talk a sec. Okay, I'll be
Yeah.
right back.
Yeah. Hey, Scott,
Yeah.
it's so funny because, I've literally met John, for like a couple days, and we've talked a bit online and stuff. And of course I listened to your podcast, but it's so funny how I feel like I really do know you guys a little bit.
Well, thanks,
And
man.
I think it's and I talked about this on an interview I did last week promoting Big Mood. That podcast will come out later, but the magic of the internet, man. Like from where we started, you'd have to get in a room together and you'd have to do the thing. And now I write songs over the internet with my partner who's in Columbus, in his studio, and it's just like you don't have to leave your house. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
And then you can hop on and like we can see each other. And it's cool to, I don't know, man. I try not to lose that part of something like this. And I talk to my 15-year-old son about it all the time. Like, man, when I was your age, we had to dig into guitar magazines to find out how to play a song. And he gets on YouTube and
Yeah.
there's like three people doing deep tutorials about how to play like, I don't know, a Rush song or something. So it's crazy, man. I don't know. I think this is amazing. And like I said, man, I love to talk about rock and roll music, and I can't wait to hear your lists, both of y'all. So
Yeah, man. It's been fun. I just had when I got sober, I had this idea, and there was only a couple people in mind, and one of them was our guest on episode 4, my friend Jeff Kerr. Um, but John was the only person that I had in mind to do this show
uh-huh.
with. So if he would have said no, it wouldn't
It
exist.
wouldn't have
But
happened. That's wild.
it's been for like a decade now. I'd heard through mutual friends like, oh, you got to meet this guy, John Merchant, and he had heard the same thing about me. So
Mm-hmm.
it was
So,
just
so you were put together, kind of introduced that way for that
well,
reason.
I hit him up on Facebook Messenger and said, hey, I have this idea for a podcast, and I was wondering if you want to meet. So we met. Two
Yeah.
sober guys meet at a brewery, and I just told him about my idea, and
Yeah,
here we are 4 years later.
that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing, dude. And so is your record collection like massive?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have it. I worked at a record store from like
Uh-huh.
94 until it closed in 99. And then, yeah, I was a DJ from when I was 17 until I was in my 40s.
Oh
So
wow.
I owned my own DJ business and did weddings and parties and all that stuff.
Oh,
So
that's sweet.
yeah, I have on my hard drive, I have over a terabyte of music.
Oh, okay.
So
You're rocking.
yeah, but I've been into jazz since I was a kid, and so I have a ton of jazz, and
So yeah, you're kind of the wide swath of
I'm yeah.
yeah, which is cool. That's totally cool. Hey, while John's getting this together, I'm gonna get
Yeah.
rid of this barking dog, man. I'll be right back.
Scott, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got it.
You got me, Scott?
Yep, I have you.
Okay, so here's what's going to happen when Drew gets back. Obviously, the recorded part that people see on YouTube, they're going to see all of this and whatever
Yeah.
you guys talked about. That'll be awesome. What we're going to do is I'm going to let you guys hear where we were at, right? Where
Mhm.
we kind of dropped off. And then we'll just roll in. And the good thing is it comes after Drew says, hey, I can get you guys a copy of this stuff,
Oh,
some
okay.
of the new stuff. And I'll let you guys hear it just so, and
Okay.
hopefully you can hear it.
I think that was pre Full Moon Fever combo. Okay.
Yeah, here's where we were. We went.
super stoked about it.
Not as stoked as I am. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I can send you a couple of those tracks if you like the preview.
So that's where we're at. Can you guys hear that?
Cool. Yep.
All right. So I'm gonna kind of I'm gonna start talking. We're gonna roll in. I'm gonna say that sounds good or something, about the preview. Hold on. And then we'll be good. And then we can talk about any other shit we want to talk about, but that'll get us back in.
Cool.
I really, dude, I should spend some money to upgrade this shit, but I'm not gonna. All right, hold on.
Let's get a refurb one somewhere.
Well, dude, really, if I'm being honest, it's just the time it would take to. It's the time of porting.
It's all
dude, it sucks. It's terrible. So you had just said you'll get us a copy. I'm going to start talking. We'll be rolling. Okay. By the way, anyone who's watching this video, this is you're getting everything. You're getting some heavy behind the scenes. And if you think this is easy, it sounds when you're listening to it in your car, you're like, wow, man, these guys are smooth. But this is what happens behind the scenes. So okay, I'm going to roll and I'll say that's great. And then we can maybe talk about Full Moon Fever.
Okay? Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
All right. That sounds awesome. So what else are you up to?
So Aaron from Big Mood, we also started a fun little side project called Full Moon Fever, which is basically a tribute to Tom Petty. And it was really a one-off idea gig that we did, and it went so well. It was just a bunch of his musician friends that we got together and asked me to join. And it's gone so well. We've just started booking shows and started to get a lot of shows. And I think it's the easiest thing ever because all we have to do is show up and play well, because Petty the
songs are there.
I mean, seriously, it's like, which 50 Petty songs do you need to learn out of the catalog?
Are you playing bass in that?
I am. I play bass and I sing harmonies. And
so are you Ron Blair or are you Howie?
I love this question. So what I learned through the process of learning material is I'm definitely a Ron Blair guy. 100%.
Oh, really? You're Ron Blair.
Yeah. 100%.
With Howie vocals.
Oh, dude, Howie's a great singer. Ron Blair's his sense of melody on the bass and how he fits in the band, it blows me away. And I think I'm always trying to absorb something new and get out of my own way. And I'm always like learning something and learning his bass lines on some of those songs and arrangements. It's like, get out of here, man. Get out of here. Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah.
And he, Ron Blair's the dude who leaves the band for a long time, still goes to shows and still and it's
still friends,
and then comes back, dude.
Comes back. And it's like,
and he's the nicest guy.
And I love that he was asked to come back. And it was like, there's no other choice. Howie can't be here. So there's no other choice. You know what I mean?
When they lost Ron Blair for Howie, because Ron Blair, you're right, was just such a part of those great Heartbreakers recordings. They get Howie and you're kind of like, well, they got this, they got the bass player for, Del Shannon's band is going to play, or Carlene Carter, or whoever he was playing with at the time. And then they score again. They get Howie, it's like, come on, dude.
Right. And
what more do you want?
He's great too. I'm just partial to Ron and bass parts. And honestly, that era of the band, the Heartbreakers, it's just my favorite too. It's really some of that too. You know what I mean?
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
So do you guys do any deep cuts with that, or do you stick to hits?
Great question, man. We started with the hits, and now it's like, what does our audience really want? We've just started to go into a couple deep cuts, and we do like the Wilbury stuff. We do the solo stuff too, like the Full Moon Fever stuff. But we're starting to dig in, and like, full disclosure, we look on like forums to see what are the top deep cuts that people really want, instead of us trying to make our own decisions.
What's yours? What's your deep cut? Your Petty deep cut? You wish you were playing that. You're not.
Anything that's rock and roll.
Dude, I played that in a cover band.
Dude, that song's like, that was an easy answer, man.
That's a great tune. Dude. My other one, Scott, what's your favorite Petty deep cut?
I love Century City.
Yeah, that's a good song too.
That's a good one too. Yeah. I think mine, I also have and I've told you this, Scott. Straight Into Darkness.
Oh yeah.
That's that, and that might not even be considered a deep cut. I don't think it was a single, but I've seen a video for it, like a live video.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it's that concert, and I can't tell you where it was, but like Mike's got his gold top and he's wearing that cool, I call it his "You Got Lucky" hat, that kind of cop hat looking thing. He looks so badass, and Petty's got his sunburst strat. It's so cool.
That's so funny. You said the "You Got Lucky" hat, because we could talk this whole hour about that video and the impact it made. So, all right, that's enough.
So no, you are in the right place, because we will do stuff like this all the time. Benting and I can't help ourselves. But that video for you, first of all, it was an early MTV video, so you got to see it a lot. Remember? And it had the whole intro, the keyboard. Ooh,
the
storyboard,
the sci-fi, the kind of Star Warsy, kind of but it was rock and roll, and
they never looked cheesy. They never looked cheesy. I mean, they're like space age cowboys, and that would just not fly. It would seem stupid, but yet when it's the Heartbreakers, they all looked cool.
Right. They all look so cool.
That's my Mike Campbell. That hat, his whole bit. Killer, man.
That solo, and he plays it with the Gretsch Hollow, whatever.
Bow.
I mean, I didn't even know what I was looking at, but I'm like, whatever that bar does makes that sound, and I gotta have one of those. Gotta have one of those. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. So we've already agreed to have you back for a Petty specific episode, which we've done that. We did it with Trace by Sunvolt, right?
Yep.
Never again.
The Masterpiece album kind of that.
It's kind of that. Yeah. So we'll consider Petty a masterpiece artist and revisit that. So
that sounds
Scott,
amazing.
What's our topic today?
Our topic today is, this goes back to the album and CD days, kind of, but we like to do that on the show. But albums you can't live without, meaning like if you lent it to a friend and you didn't get it back, you got to go buy another one.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Oh, man. Yeah. So who's Scott Benting? Are you going to start us off with some obscure jazz record that you have to have that nobody's ever heard of? I have
some jazz on my list.
You would. Of course you would.
But I'm not going to start out with that. But I'll let our guests start out today, Drew.
Well, you are such a gentleman.
Cool.
What do you got, Drew?
I love it, man. I have to say, like, the multiple drafts I've done with this list and vetted with my 15-year-old son, Owen, and he gives me feedback. There's always do you go for the real, like, obvious things in your life, or do you try to be cool guy and go deep cut records? You know what I mean?
Right.
And I a lot of these things are going to sound really obvious, and a lot of it comes from my foundation, I think, of the first things that I gravitated to. And I have to start, not to be Captain Obvious, but it's got to be the first Boston record. And
wow.
Yeah, it's got to be. And the reason is, first of all, the unique guitar tone that Tom Scholz had with all of the gear that he built, et cetera, et cetera. But the things I gravitated toward, those hooks, every song's got a riff hook. It's got Brad Delp with counter harmonies, but the understated thing is the R&B element of the rhythm section between Sib and then Tom Scholz playing all those amazing bass parts. And I don't know if you've ever done any deep dives on.
Was that you tracks. Just said that was Scholz?
Yeah. Played bass on the on the recording. Too. Yep.
Wow.
And then they brought in Fran on bass guitar for the live. He was also an amazing bass player. But I've heard some like ISO tracks of just the bass and the drums on songs like Hitch a Ride, and they are deep, they are thorough, and they're rhythm and blues based with rock guitar. And so it's like, of course, every song on that record's a hit single. Like literally is in rotation in Heritage Rock.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that was no brainer, and it still sounds amazing to this day. So,
wow, that's a great opener. And I have to say this too, since we nerded out a second about Scholz. Of course, the Def Leppard Hysteria record, those guitar tones are the Rockman, dude. They're the Rockman.
Yeah,
they're
that
little Rockman X100. That my buddy had in his closet for 100 years, and now they're $500.
Yeah, isn't it crazy?
It is.
But they sound. I mean, it just sounds amazing. And whatever his genius to put that record together that sounded that great. I think the only the only thing that I'm curious about is why he didn't continue with that, because the records he wasn't consistent.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know what I mean? Like the third album with those sounds would be the same huge record, in my
Right.
opinion, third stage.
Right.
So yeah.
But he was
Anyway,
probably searching, he's
well,
that guy. He was
he's
probably
he's
moving on, you know?
sticking up for Tom. I love it, man. I love
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
You're
What
right. Because
don't
you're
you
right.
dare judge?
You're
Who are
right.
you to No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
What do you got for your first one, Benting? We'll be here forever.
It's going to be an obvious one. It's the 59 sound from the Gaslight Anthem.
Yeah, dude. It's not one of mine, but it could be. It could be a new, because you turned me on to it and I love it. Drew, do you know Gaslight Anthem?
I know. I have heard some of their stuff. I don't have any in my collection.
Dude, so Benting made me get the 59 sound. Like, I think I ordered it during a show, like literally ordered
Okay.
it. Well,
Oh, nice.
and dude, you got to check it out. You know what it is? It's I mean, Scott, I'm trying to think of how you described it to me.
I
There's
said
definitely
it's the Replacements meets Bruce Springsteen.
Okay. Right
yeah,
on.
and that's
Right
pretty
on.
close, man. It's pretty
Yeah.
close. It's a killer record.
If you've heard the song "Left of the Dial" by the Replacements, you'd be like, that's where the Gaslight Anthem got their sound.
Cool. And
Yeah.
this is the stuff I'm here for. So I'm going to have a whole list of things to
Well, me too. I
curate
know. I
after
got it.
this.
That's what always happens. I always write down stuff and Benting's weird jazz albums and the Fratellis, and of course, I never get them just out of spite, but I write them down. So I'm gonna open up mine with something that it may or may not appear on your guys' list, though I know you're both big fans. Uh, um, and it's a fairly newish record for some, but it's the Southern Harmony and Musical Companion by the Black Crowes.
Can I
I
say
mean,
that? Dude, let's go.
Yeah.
I can't live without it. And Drew and I have had this conversation before about just, I mean, that Black Crowes record, man, that second Crowes record is like the blueprint for, to me, what is cool rock and roll, what a cool rock and roll band sounds like, you know?
I couldn't agree more about that. And they're like, that record was the culmination of all the things that happened before, where they had 3 hit songs on a debut record, where they toured on it for 3 years and
Something
became
like
the band that they were, and were able to go into the studio and knock that out in 8 days.
And it's just Shake Your Moneymaker was a cool record for me. The best, I love all the, I mean, Jealous Again was a single, but probably lower than Twice as Hard or Talks to Angels or Hard to Handle.
Hard to Handle, right.
But it's like, it's the songs. It's Jealous Again. It's Seeing Things is a great tune,
Yep.
And those songs sort of pointed toward what Southern Harmony was going to be, I think.
Yeah.
And obviously somewhere in this equation, I think the Crowes went, I mean, I'm sure they smoked a lot of grass during Shake Your Moneymaker, but that number had to increase when they got to Southern Harmony, because
man,
is such a trippy record. And it's so, I mean, think about the intro count to Bad Luck Blue Eyes Goodbye. That's like 1, 2, go.
Yeah, right. Yeah. The personality, you're right, is all on that record. And I can talk about this a little bit because, John, this is also on my list. So,
good. Yeah, please.
So, but the riffs on that record, between like Black Moon Creepin', No Speak No Slave, Remedy, and the evolution of that song. That song is all about, and Sting Me. It's all.
That's a great tune. Have you ever heard the slow Sting Me?
Oh yeah,
like
yeah. Oh yeah, it's amazing. It's all about the drums and the guitar working together, and then the band that knows how to play in that context, and then one of the best singers in rock and roll.
And again, the new factor in Southern Harmony was Mark Ford.
Oh, for sure.
Who is playing with Lucinda Williams right now?
Wow.
Is touring with Lucinda Williams. Lucinda Williams with Mark Ford on guitar.
Listen.
I mean, shut up, man. That's killer.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Great killer.
Pick, man. Great pick.
Yeah. So we're at you, right? No. Where are we at, Scott? Drew, what do you got next?
So next on my list, I'm going to have to go with Rock and Roll Over from Kiss.
Oh, he nails a Kiss record.
So Kiss was my first love. that was my like a music that I picked because I had my parents' records, where you'd play them. We were doing records at a really young age,
Me
and my
too.
mom brought home this record from a garage sale, and she's like, "I got this for you," and I have a twin brother, so it was always for both of us. Got this for you. I found it. The cover was so ugly. I thought you'd love it. I know it's an animated
Sure, the
cover,
circle.
yeah,
Yeah.
circle, and put it on, and like it literally, I'll never forget. It changed our lives, and as you get in and understand music a little better, learn how to play things. The reason I love that record is because, in its own way, it's an amalgamation of two amazing bands. It's got Zeppelin-esque riffs on it. Again, another through line for me with Making Love and Mr. Speed and Calling Dr. Love. But there's all of these Beatles harmonies on it. And Kiss doesn't get the credit for the, and I have this argument all the time. I love the way their imperfect voices sound together. They're very, I think Gene Simmons is I love his voice because he's got this McCartney like melodic thing going on, but he doesn't have that. He doesn't have a beautiful voice. But it's so honest, and they open up with all these great counter melodies and harmonies and things. And like I could listen to that album like every week for the rest of my life. You know what I mean?
And Scott, you are not a Kiss guy. Is that correct?
I recently got into Kiss, and that is one of the records that was recommended to me. So I do have it. Yes.
Yeah. For me, the thing that people miss with the band Kiss, to me, is exactly what Drew said, is the Beatle thing. And the thing I like is Gene and Paul, they do the Paul and John thing where they're
Yes.
singing in unison sometimes,
Yes.
and then they break off into a
Yeah, love
harmony.
it.
Then they
For
sing
sure.
unison. And I know I listened to Paul Stanley's book, and he's really critical of Peter Chris's drumming. Like, oh, he wasn't heavy like Bonham and what.
Right.
He was more jazzy, actually. But the other thing is, he played perfect. He played perfect for
Dude,
those albums.
I just had this conversation yesterday with my son about the jazz element and rock between Peter Criss and Bill Ward from Black Sabbath. Like
Oh
that's what
yeah.
makes them unique is that
Yep.
they weren't rock drummers, but Peter Criss's drumming on Calling Dr. Love specifically, if you don't like give him a chance, it's so unique and it's so perfect for that song.
Killer.
And he's he's the best singer in the band. Easy.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Well,
Does that record have Hard Luck Woman on it?
It does.
Does.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And I saw them, get this, I saw a skit. I think it was on the Muppets. Remember the Muppet Show?
Oh yeah.
And it was these little baby Muppets doing Baby Driver. Go, Baby
no kidding.
Driver. Yes.
That's such a killer song.
Yes, it's a great song. So that was
I gotta find that.
And so, there'd be that. There'd be remember they were on the Paul Lynde Halloween. Kiss was on TV all the time, dude. So in my era,
dude, it was something about it.
Band.
And I decided to pick one Kiss album, and that was the one I had to pick.
That's a
I
great
have several
one.
others I could talk about, but that's the one. That's the one.
That's a
man.
killer. Scott, what you got next?
Self-titled Cheap Trick.
Let's go.
Oh man, that's a killer. Bravo, sir.
Yeah.
Bravo for bringing the power pop in.
Of course.
I mean, some of my favorite songs: "Hot Love," "He's a Whore."
He's a Whore's a great tune.
Their Tax Man. It's
Mr. Yeah. Listen.
So, I mean, again, as a guy who loves Big Star as much as I do, and then Cheap Trick, and then for me, I have this kind of holy trinity that's Big Star, Cheap Trick, Fountains of Wayne. Those things all kind of become this power pop thing for me.
Yeah.
And because I obviously I live in the Midwest, Cheap Trick, we got tons of Cheap Trick in our lives because they were on the radio. They would come to, I swear to God, it seemed like every 2 weeks, Cheap Trick was in concert in town. They were either supporting someone or headlining a smaller place. They were the coolest band. They had Rick Nielsen. They had Rick Nielsen in their band and Bunny Carlos,
They're coming to town this summer.
And you know what? They'll still be great.
Yeah.
They'll be a great live band. And I wavered a little bit. I'll be honest. I did waver I panicked a little when we lost Tom Peterson there in the 80s. Remember, they got the other dude
Yep.
whose name
Yep.
I have not even
Yeah.
bothered to remember.
Yeah.
But
Right.
he played all the cool, like, I Can't Take It, the
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, 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 all the high
Yeah.
octave bass stuff. But
And those are
Tom
great
Peterson,
songs in there. Yeah,
great
dude.
songs. Yeah.
Cheap
What a
Trick.
great pick, Scott.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. I knew you guys. I figured I might be taking one from somebody there with
Yeah,
that one.
you should be. You should be.
You should be, right.
Because I'm embarrassed it's not. And this is the other thing. I mean, because I have NMD, let's say, there are so many albums in my life that I would be like, oh no, dude, I can't live without that. Like,
Right.
I'd
Yeah.
have to replace the whole collection for
Oh,
sure.
it was a process to come
It's
to.
oh my God.
Yeah.
I had one of their records on that made it to my honorable mentions list. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that you stepped up and put some like a man.
Yes, exactly. You got to have Cheap Trick. Good pick, Scott. Let me think what I got next. See if I can sell this one to you guys. This is, I've got my rootsy records. Of course, I got some rockers on here, but I'm gonna say this, and I might take some heat from you more knowledgeable music folk. But I put "Too Fast for Love" by Motley Crue on my list.
Ooh, let's go.
Because it's snotty and punky and
one.
kind of. Although the '83 Quiet Riot, the Mental Health, the big album, right, the number one, is a great record. Too Fast for Love is like, I mean, it's everything from the Dolls and the Pistols, and there's out of tune parts. There's a bad edit in it. I can hear a bad edit where the solo comes in at like 5 dB louder and then snaps back down.
Yeah.
But they were never, for me, they never got that again. They just were never that raw and that direct. And, it's got the ballad on it. On With the Show. That's kind of a rip off of All the Young Dudes, which I love, So yeah, I had Too Fast for Love by Motley Crue.
Wow. I didn't
What do you got next,
expect
Drew?
Motley. Man, I'm going to go with, this is going to be one of the obvious choices, but I had to put a Zepp record on this list. And this was, and I was telling Owen that like this list easily for me could have just been the first 8 Zeppelin records. So that's how I feel about Led Zeppelin. But I had to pick Physical Graffiti because
oh wow, yeah.
And the reason I picked it is because 10 Years Gone's on it, which is my favorite Zepp song. And I think the culmination of the best ideas that Jimmy Page had for the band, with the layered guitars, the descending riffs, some of Robert Plant's best lyrics. Because Zeppelin lyrics can be, it's just about attitude, but this song specifically wasn't. And as a 13-year-old kid hearing this for the first time, it was like it's a mind bender. Yeah,
huge,
and then there's
huge,
and it's a double album, so you get like twice the music,
which is a bargain. We're looking for bargains.
Like Trampled Underfoot, Custard Pie, The Rover, which is another one of my favorite Zepp songs.
Boy, I'd have a hard time picking a Zeppelin album. What about you, Benting? What's your Zeppelin album?
That one is great. That's the one Mark Ratner played because he must not have had
but
Zeppelin,
have you guys
Zeppelin 2? No, Zeppelin 4 he told him, right?
He told him to play Zeppelin 4, right? If he wanted to make out. But when they jumped to the car scene, they're listening to Kashmir.
Kashmir was playing.
Yeah,
so
those are the kind of things.
He must not have had it. He only had Physical Graffiti.
I mean, which is fine. If you're looking to make out, any Zeppelin's going to work. As long as it's not like the Immigrant Song. No girl wants to make out to, the tales of bloody Viking battles. That just doesn't work.
My favorite Zeppelin song is Out on the Tiles, though.
Oh, that's a great song. That's a great song, too. I don't know, man. Zeppelin is obviously they are the forefathers of so much stuff that folks like us like and love. I don't know. It's hard for me, and it depends on mood. Like if I, like certainly the first, Led Zeppelin 1 is a classic, of course. Led Zeppelin 3, the hippie album,
that's my favorite.
It's great.
The acoustic-y hippie album.
Same.
And yet, there's all the, even with my son as a drummer, just talking about John Bonham and trying to tell him, he's learning the single kick drum triplet now. The Bonham triplet.
The
I'm like, dude,
that's
that's his thing, right? I mean, that's something you would hear from him.
on gear from 1971, which is completely different than gear from 2023. You know what I'm
Right. An
saying? So
old, yeah.
yeah,
Old
it was a
Ludwig
lot harder
Speed
to
King
do.
pedal.
So yeah, it's the greatness. Yeah.
Oh, the greatness. Exactly. Wow. Good pick. Good pick.
Thanks,
All
man.
right. Who's up? You Benting?
Yeah, I have my some British stuff. Pulp, the
I
band
love that
Pulp.
band. I know
Yes.
nothing of them.
Tell me
Their
more.
their record from 1995 called Different Class. It's the singer, he does a lot of spoken stuff on this record. It's I mean, his name is Jarvis.
Oh yeah, right.
He it At first listen, you'd think this is pretentious as hell. And listening to his lyrics are very direct. There's no flowery shit in his lyrics. It's very direct with everything that I dig about Pulp. And this record is it's just so cool. And I don't know how he does it, but it's not pretentious, but God, does it sound that way?
Is it like Brit pop or
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
If
because I'd hear their name with Oasis
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Suede or all those British.
Yeah, if you're into
Yeah.
all that
You
Suede
had me at
Oasis.
English 90s. You had me. So I'm
Right.
not familiar because, with Supergrass, all those great bands that came out.
Right.
Oh, let's go.
There were a ton of
Yeah,
them
there's
too.
so
Tons of
many.
Yeah.
them.
I love the Kooks and Razorlight and so many good ones but Pulp, that Different Class record is it's a masterpiece.
Yeah, obviously.
Let's
Songs
go.
like Disco 2000 and Sorted for Ease and Whiz, and it's so good. Um,
Pulp. Yeah, I got to get him. There's a lot of British bands like Blur and Pulp and
yeah,
Yeah.
Suede and all those bands.
yeah.
I never really followed up. I don't know
Blur
where
is
I
far
was.
better than Woohoo.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
what's that band?
That's
What's Woohoo
Blur.
band?
That's
Oh,
That's
Blur.
that's
song
Blur.
two.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
from
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Woo.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're far better than that.
All right. Let's see. What's my
Very
next
cool.
pick? I better get out of the metal for a second. You know what? I have this album and I've mentioned it before. I own more albums by this band than any other band. I have Hollywood Town Hall by the Jayhawks.
Oh yeah.
Oh, let's go. Talk to me.
That's
Ugh.
go. I can remember, and I wish I could remember how I heard about the Jayhawks because I believe it was like a quick clip on a like
Mhm.
MTV news show or something, right? But all I remember is that Gary Loris had an SG with vibrola on it,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
the tone was fuzzy and Neil Youngy, but yet there was jangly acoustic guitar and harmony. It was
Dude.
like the Everly Brothers with
Yep.
Neil Young and more straight rock beats. So I was like, okay, I'm in, and country, because I grew up on country. It had that. Gary
Yep.
Loris plays this. I got so into Gary Loris for a while that my rig when I was playing in bar bands then was his. I literally looked, and so I had like a deluxe reverb, a fuzz face pedal, one other pedal, and I was good to go. That's what Gary Loris used. I had an SG for a while,
So
and
you were all in.
didn't sound like him. Sounded like shit. I couldn't make it work at all. I couldn't play any cover music because at that time I'm playing, in a band that's covering, I don't know, Man in the Box, and I'm like, well, I got a
Yeah,
fuzz
yeah.
face and a deluxe reverb.
Dude, it's funny. You said that. I remember when I heard about that record, my buddy Cy, who taught me how to play guitar, really brought it, and we were all jamming in our hometown. And I remember loving the sound, seeing the record cover, and it looked like my hometown. I could see myself in that
Yeah,
cover.
cool.
And there was
Cool.
something
Yeah.
about that, you know what I mean? And you
The
probably
connection.
could say the same,
Of
you know
course.
what I
Right.
mean?
Of course. Yep.
So huge
Right.
record, Sister Cry, let's go.
Oh, great. 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 All right. What you got next, Drew?
I've got to go with Steely Dan, Can't Buy a Thrill.
Oh
Here comes
yes.
Benting. I knew
Oh,
it. I
let's
could hear him.
go.
I could hear him. As soon as you
Um,
said Steely, I could hear him getting
yeah,
excited.
the Dan for me is like an all inclusive thing, but Can't Buy a Thrill is about, them finding their thing. First of all, you got Do It Again with Fagan singing, but you have other singers on the record. Change of the Guard. And then, of course, Reeling in the Years is a song that I've heard thousands of times. And when it comes on, I crank it up, man, because the arrangement, the lyric, the hook, the harmonies, it's just it's magical. And then when they toured 1 year in '74, there's some great bootlegs where they had Michael McDonald in the band, Skunk
Oh,
Baxter playing
cool.
live.
Yep.
And he
Cool.
has like those versions of those songs that they played live are knockouts. So
That's did you know that Reelin' in the Years is Jimmy Page's favorite guitar solo?
I think I did read that once, and I can't imagine why it wouldn't be. It's and that was who played it? I can't.
Denny Diaz, isn't it?
Benny Diaz. He played. He yeah, I think was it.
Because Denny Diaz played on
He's the
Only a
bebop
Fool Would
guitar
Say
player.
That Blue.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for
Because
sure.
he's the one who speaks Spanish. He's the one who says only a fool would say that in Spanish at the
Oh
end.
yeah, at the end, yeah, which is great. Which is great.
I
But
would
like,
like to know what that guitar rig was because it's very direct sounding. That
oh yeah,
solo tone sounds
it
like
probably
it's
was
right into the
direct.
mixer.
I know that Skunk played direct on went on
Yeah,
his
he
I wonder if
stuff.
that's it. Right
Yeah,
into the mixer or something.
wasn't
Yeah.
it? Is it Elliot Randall? Is that Elliot? I think he's the guy who played the solo. I have to go back and look. I should know this. I feel a little embarrassed.
Oh, you should.
Larry Chamberlain.
Yeah. If you don't know your
Played the
obscure
solo.
Steely Dan
I
solos, yeah,
know,
this
but I do.
There's so many. There's
I
too many
know.
to keep them.
yeah,
Um,
there's some killer ones.
a great record, man. Super
Wow.
impactful. And I always get
Agreed.
back to it. Yeah,
Benting loves Steely Dan.
let's
What do you
go.
got next, Scott?
Morrison Hotel from the Doors.
Yeah, I knew
Okay.
you'd have to have a Doors. You'd have to. And that's your Doors? That's your
That's,
record.
I mean, right now it is.
Yeah,
Right
Yeah.
now,
right.
yeah, fair.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's got my favorite song is Peace Frog.
Oh
And
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
so, but
absolutely.
Ship of Fools, Waiting for the Sun are all
Yep,
on there.
yep.
Land Ho, Maggie McGill. So,
Was that a dad record?
oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. That's where it
Of
came from.
course.
That's super cool. Yeah.
I struggle like you struggle to have a Doors album, right? On your must-haves. Because if we were being honest, Scott, like all the Doors would probably be on your must-have, right?
Right.
They're I struggled that with my Beatles. I had to pick a Beatle
Yes.
album.
Mhm.
And I mean, I knew you guys weren't gonna let me slide if I just said catalog, right? But so I picked Revolver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great
I
pick.
mean,
Great
just
pick.
because it number one, it rocks. I mean, it's a rock album. Stuff like She Said and Your Bird
Mhm.
Can Sing and
Those are the songs
Taxman.
I would say. Those are the
Those
first three
are
songs I would say.
right. They're rockers, man. They're rockers. They're
Sure.
rockers.
Yeah.
And it's all it's the backwards guitar. It's
Mhm.
that weird, you'd never heard that
Yeah.
that
Right.
kind of reverse sound where they're counting off Taxman 1,
Right.
2, right? It's just amazing stuff. And I even like Dr. Roberts on there, and I like
Oh,
that.
for sure.
It's just hard for me to pick a Beatle album. One Beatle album, like I said, I'd go catalog if I could, but I ended up with Revolver just because that's the one I seem to gravitate to when I'm looking for a single Beatle album experience. So that
Excellent,
was
man.
it.
Yeah.
Excellent pick.
What's next, Drew?
The debut album from the Eagles, produced by Glenn Johns. And a lot
There's
of
your
that
Zeppelin connection.
is because it was produced by Glenn Johns and because they weren't Zeppelin, and
Yeah.
how he helped, like he cultivated their sound by helping them with find their country leanings and focusing on that. And it's a famous story, and you can see it in all the documentaries, but they wanted to be a rock band. And there's some songs on there that aren't great songs. They're kind of filler. And even the three singles, two of the three are they didn't write.
Yeah.
Redemption Road and then Jackson Brown wrote Take It Easy.
Right.
You can give Glenn Fry the credit, but that's a Jackson Brown song.
I spent a lot of years. I mean, I'll confess. This is the place for confession. I spent a lot of years not liking the Eagles.
Mhm.
And the only reason was somehow I had lumped that in with this softer country sound, right?
Mhm.
Which it is. It's that now I would call it a Southern California
Yep.
country sound, right? And it's funny because I like the Burrito Brothers so much, and I
Yep.
like Graham Parsons,
Right.
but because Graham couldn't sing super well, it had it was pointy. Graham
Yep.
Parsons was not he was no Eagles level singer, that's for
Right.
sure.
Right.
So by the time the Eagles, that classic, greatest hits with the skull on it,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Which, by the way, the vinyl album was killer because the skull was lifted off it on the
Yeah.
cardboard. Remember,
Yeah.
you could
The
feel it.
Yeah.
It was killer. But by the time that came out, it was on the radio all the time. All the big, easy listening hits were
Mhm.
on the radio. I had for years, even into Dutch Henry, because Greg and Mitch and Dutch Henry were such Eagles fans. I didn't like the Eagles. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, wait a minute. It has all the stuff I love. What am I
This is not like
missing?
Dan Fogelberg.
Well, exactly. Then I went back and I went, oh, there it is. Then I started to
Yeah.
like it. And I still do. And now I like,
Yeah.
I like
all.
everything but Don Henley stuff.
Oh, really?
I'm
You
a
don't like,
Glenn Fry guy. Yeah.
you
You're
want
a
to hear,
Friday.
you want
That's
to hear
funny.
something even worse is here. I'm going to get crucified right now. I like solo Don Henley stuff, like, Heart of the Matter or whatever. I'm trying
Oh,
to
dude,
get down.
I'm with you.
And
To Dirty Laundry. I'm with you, man.
I love
I'm
Dirty
with you.
Laundry. Yes,
Yeah, I'm
exactly.
with you. Those are great
Can't do
songs
it.
too.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Scott can't do it. Can't do it. Yeah, that's a great one. What do you got next, Scott?
From the band Chamberlain, John, you know this about me. The album is called The Moon My Saddle. They're a band from Indiana, I believe Fort Wayne, maybe.
Really? Okay.
Wow.
This
Chamberlain.
record came
You've
out
mentioned them
in
before.
95 to 98, somewhere in there. I saw them with my friends Troll for Trout.
Oh, yeah.
They opened for Troll for Trout, but I had seen them before that. They were like this punky band called Fat Lip. And
Huh,
then
that sounds familiar to me, but I'm
and
sure.
then they became Chamberlain. And then, John, I told you a few months ago, I asked you to listen to the record,
Yeah.
The Moon My Saddle. And you said, yeah,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know, you could see why I dig it so much.
Absolutely.
It's not
Absolutely.
like other 90s stuff. It's not, it's not a Jimmy Eat World sound. It's
Mm-hmm.
more Americana,
Mm-hmm.
and they're still active. Their latest record, I believe, is called Red Weather, is fantastic. David and the guys are still doing it. So,
Kudos to
um,
them.
but The Moon My Saddle and any of their other records are just, it's one of those records that, yeah, I mean, I think I said it before. If you don't like it, I'll buy it from you because
Right.
it means
Right.
that much to me.
That's
That
a money
record
back
is
guarantee.
so
Yeah.
good, man.
That says a lot, Scott. Yeah, I
Yeah.
get that sentiment, man.
Yeah. We've all had those
And
records
it's
where
and
you're like,
I'm not one of those. I don't know if you guys are like this, but if I tell somebody about something, and like I told John and our friend Denny Smith about this guy I loved from Texas named Blue Edmondson,
mm-hmm.
and John didn't care for it. Denny said after he could get past the Diet Springsteen lyrics, he likes it.
Right.
But
Dude,
you
I should
know,
be so lucky to write a Diet Springsteen lyric. That'd
and
be awesome.
that's our problem
Make a
is
career on that.
we judge things that way. We're like, but like I always try to say, you gotta, everybody steals from everybody, so it's gonna sound like
Right.
something.
Right.
And
Yeah.
but what I was saying is I'm not offended, and I don't give a shit if somebody doesn't like something I recommend
Oh,
to
I
them.
do. I'm
Right.
pissed.
Do you?
I'm pissed. Oh, fuck yeah. I'm
I don't
angry.
care. I look at it as it's your loss. I don't care.
Yeah. Oh no. I'm like, how can you like? Then I start to question myself. Like, how
Oh,
can
I
you
do
not
that
like
too. I
this?
definitely
Am
question
I?
myself,
I mean, I'm
but I
sleeping with
don't
this
care.
record, and this person's like, oh, it's stupid, Or
But I was like, is Blue Edmondson really? And then I'm like, fuck those guys.
yeah, right. And then I move on with my life, listening to this album I like and not
Right.
caring who likes it. Yeah.
So yeah, Chamberlain, The Moon My Saddle. Highly
Well,
recommended.
Cool.
I
Homework.
wish I could be more. I wish I could be obscure. I do. I want to be. I want to be cool. But I'm not gonna be because I'm gonna say, "Damn the torpedoes," and I'll take whatever you got.
There it is. There it is.
I mean, what do you got? What do you? I
Yeah.
mean, and you can go. There's a ton of Petty albums that you could easily pick. And believe it or not, I'll take heat for this. I could throw Southern accents in there. I think that's a great record.
Yeah.
But damn the torpedoes, dude. Like you mentioned Century City.
Yeah.
I'm talking, first of all, obviously the singles are gold,
Mhm.
but we've talked about this a million times. Louisiana
Indiana
Rain.
Rain.
What you doing in my life? What's the tune? It opens up side 2. Crap. Now I can't think of it. I'm drawing a blank. But there's so many of those quote unquote non-single songs that are just killer too. I mean, what's the song? God, this sucks. It's God, it starts with an S too. It's the second side of Damn the Torpedoes. It's forget it. I'll never get it. Now I'm pissed. But yeah, I mean, Damn the Torpedoes is one of those albums that, first of all, they labored over and the snare drum sound on that album is like nothing I'd ever heard. That snare drum sounds like it's tuned so loose that if you hit it with a stick, you'd have to physically pull the stick out of the snare to hit it again, because it's so that loose tuning, that low tuning. And again, I say this a lot too. I love the Heartbreakers. I love that band, and I always will. They lost something when they lost Stan Lynch. Oh, nobody drums like that. Nobody sang like that. His fills were really cool.
It's an attitude. His singing too. His harmonies.
Oh, yeah.
You're thinking of Shadow of a Doubt, John?
That's exactly what it is, dude. It's Shadow of a Doubt. Yeah.
That's track 4 on side 1.
Okay. Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Because what's the there's a line in that and when she's sleeping, sometimes she sings in French.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah, that record's like the band finding themselves too from all the stuff I've heard about it. You know what I mean? And like, what would it have been like to be in the studio as you're creating that together? Knowing I don't know. You're looking at each other like, we're making this, and this is how we're supposed to be. And I love that.
And they labored over it so much. I mean, they say that like there's 60 takes of Refugee, right? They could and we've all watched so much of like that Petty movie, and of course the classic albums about this, but just how hard they were on Stan Lynch, right?
Yeah.
Like he and Jimmy didn't get along, and they didn't. Right. I don't care what anyone says. That the drums. I mean, you think about how many songs start with him kicking them off, you know, or just the way they kick off. Refugee is him, that big that snare thing, and he kicks off so many of those songs, and they're just, I don't know how he grooved the way he did, but he and Ron Blair are.
I agree.
I mean, and then it's not, you have that rhythm section, and you have a great songwriter. You have Petty, who's a great guitar player, and then Mike Campbell's on the album. I mean,
right.
You're just not gonna go wrong. You're
chiming 12 strings, all of it. Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's like a guitar tone, handbook. You still to this day, when you're thinking, hey man, I want to put a 12 on something, you hear Petty 12 strings, which are Roger McGuinn 12 strings, but that's what I hear. Right. I'm like, oh, it's got to sound like that. Or if I'm thinking chimey, I'm thinking that record. That's Damn the Torpedoes.
Nice pick, man.
What do you got next, Drew?
So this might be obscure or it might be completely obvious. Canadian band Sloan. The album's
I've heard of them.
It's called Pretty Together. It came out in 2001. So Sloan they came out in 91. They had a hit single called Underwhelmed, very like alternative. And it's like the same Kiss Beatles model. 4 guys in the band. They all write, contribute equally. They all sing their own songs. And then when the drummer sings, he comes out, plays guitar. The bass player goes to drums. They switch instruments, and they're all very proficient. They've been the same 4 guys. They've been the same 4 guys since 91. They still put out records, and they are still amazing. And I saw them at the Grog Shop in Cleveland last summer. And if you don't know Sloan and you love Power, you love Cheap Trick, you love The Move, you love the Smiths. It's like this unique blend of different styles. Sloan Pretty Together. And then when that album came out, I was on the road with a band all over America, and so I always that was like one of my 5 records. I had my CD player and 5 CDs, and that was one that I took with me, and it always reminds me of that crazy time in my life too. So it's kind of matches that.
And check it out.
I will too. I just wrote it down. It's Pretty Together, right?
Pretty Together. You'll hear riffs and harmonies and killer bass playing.
Well, those are all the things I like.
Yeah.
All right. Scotty, what you got next?
from Richie Kotzen, Into the Black from 2006.
This dude loves Richie Kotzen. You do love. Did you see my Kotzen video I shared of his
That was,
rehearsal?
yeah, the Motherhead stuff.
Killer,
So killer.
shreddy. He can shred. He can sing his ass off. He looks kick. He looked so cool back in the day with his long
He
straight
did.
hair. Someone commented like, I think my buddy Todd was like, God, nobody has their shirts on. I'm like, if I look like Kotzen, I wouldn't be wearing
I
one
would
right
either,
No,
now.
never.
I'd have my long hair flowing. I'd be shirtless and going into the
Facts.
grocery store, man.
Getting my
Yeah, I
food.
mean, it's got one of the song "You Can't Save Me" is a song that you can feel what that guy, you could feel in his vocals, like he's meaning what he wrote.
Yeah, he's a
It's
great singer, man.
that song is that intense, and Fear has one of my all-time favorite Richie solos on it. It's just a killer record. My Angel is a great ballad. It's
Plus, he shredded on a Telecaster. I always liked that.
He did.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's
He was an Ibanez guy early on. I remember seeing him with some Ibanezes, like maybe even his REH Hot Licks video I had.
Am I
I'm
wrong?
ashamed of myself right now.
Am I
But
wrong to think that he was a gunslinger and
he
then
was.
turned into like
He
an
was,
artist?
dude.
And
yeah.
so
He was one
he's
of those
the
metal
evolution of
dudes.
that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay.
Yeah,
Metal
I heard
Blade,
about him
right, Scott?
from a
Shrapnel.
guitar compilation. He had a song called Hot Rails on a guitar compilation, and I was like, he was on Shrapnel. So,
Yeah, he was a
Yeah.
shred guy.
Yeah.
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 yep,
Sure.
Jason Becker produced his
Yeah.
first
Okay.
record, and
Tracking.
yeah.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
now,
Right.
he's still doing the Winery Dog stuff, and
Right. Right.
which I don't love that, but I'm more of a solo Richie guy, and
And
Mhm.
I'm Motherhead's family reunion when he was like Prince. He wanted to be Prince and
the Black Crows at the
the
same
Black
time.
exactly, dude.
Wow.
He's a great front man too. I was the video for Motherhead's family reunion. He's singing it. I mean, he looks cool. He reminds
With
me
the
of
right
Prince.
exposure, that album could have been as big as a Brother Kane or something
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah,
Right.
It
I
just
Right.
agree.
didn't get the right
Brother
exposure.
Kane. Scott
Right.
references Brother Kane. Nice. That's killer. There's a killer band. I love that dude. Love that dude. Damon
Yeah.
Johnson. Love him. He was in Thin Lizzy. That's all I have to say. Let's see. What did I have next? I gotta, in the interest of time here, I do have "Sweet Old World" by Lucinda Williams.
Of course.
Sweet.
That's dude. That album's so good. The lyrics are so good. The music's beautiful. The guitar sounds like it's through like a Roland JC 120. It's super
Yeah.
clean.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, the song Pineola's on there about a
Yeah.
suicide. That's just beautiful. Little Angel, Little Brother's on there. Just I don't know. I that was 1990, I think. I was graduating high school and
Mhm.
somehow got onto Sweet Old World, probably through my friend Greg Miller, through a guy named Jack Lever. Yeah, I love Lucinda. Her Rock and Roll Heart album's good. Her most recent album,
Yes, great.
she does Rock and Roll Heart with Springsteen.
Yeah.
It's killer. Yeah.
My wife
Sweet.
bought me the book for her book for Christmas.
It's so good, dude. So good. So good. Yeah.
Nice.
So anyhow, all right. Sweet Old World by Lucinda. What you got, Drew?
Back to the 90s. Another band you may or may not have heard of. They're from California, called Dada. And they had a
No.
hit single in 92 called Disneyland. And they're a three-piece band. The guitar player is one of my top 5 favorite guitar players of all time. And they're like Dire Straits guitar with Simon and Garfunkel harmonies. They
Wow.
put out this record on IRS. They went on tour with Sting, playing all over the world, making the album's called Puzzle. Disneyland was a single. But they also have a lot of like 60s pop music kind of mixed in, like Kinks stuff.
Oh wow.
Okay.
It's a very unsung album, and I just kind of wish they had a little more support after that first single. The band is reunited and going back on tour this summer.
Who is
And
the guitar player, Drew?
His name is Michael Gurley. And amazing band. I've seen them on every tour they've ever done. I paid $3 for the Puzzle tour ticket at the Newport Music Hall in Columbus. Changed my life. I was
Went the long
16.
dollar.
Yeah, it was amazing. and I'd be happy. I got to share some of that with y'all because I think it's one of those things where you just think it's a slam dunk for people who haven't heard it yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, great band.
Nice.
Dada.
Scott.
I'm going to combine a couple here to save some time. There are a couple jazz records that I can't live without. One is The Atomic Mr. Basie from Count Basie.
Okay.
It's a double album. It's a combination. It's a great combination of like bop style jazz
Mm-hmm.
and big band.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not too big bandy and not too much in certain genres of jazz, which has so many. But and then of course the Bill Evans trio live at
Yep.
the Village Vanguard is
It's
a
always on your list.
masterpiece.
Anytime we do any masterpiece or can't
Yeah.
live without, that album's always on
You
Scott's
can
list
hear
every
the
time.
people in the background laughing. You can hear
Glasses
silverware,
clinging. Yeah.
glasses clanking,
And like, yeah,
everything.
it's like a medicine record is what I call those. Those ones
It's
you always
killer.
lean on.
And the
Yeah.
stories behind it, it's right. I mean, the bass player sadly died like days after this,
Oh,
Oh
Scott
yeah,
wow.
you told me
LaFaro, in a
that. Yep.
car accident. And
Whoa. That's heavy. That's wild.
Bill Evans was, heavy into heroin at this time. And I remember there's stuff about him yelling at Paul Modian while they were doing this with like, you're playing too loud. He's like, I'm playing with brushes. What do you want me to play with? Feathers? Just just shit
Yeah.
like that. But it's just so beautiful and
I
yeah.
think that album came up on one of our shows where we were maybe talking about like album chatter or
Yeah,
that, you know,
That's
probably.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Cause I think I brought up Johnny Rivers live at the Whiskey A Go Go, where you can hear people like clapping,
Yeah.
yeah.
real like single two, three, and people woo and hooting and hollering, and that's always cool too. Yeah. I'm gonna cram a couple together here. Um, I'm going to put together two albums. I'm gonna do kind of Graham Parsons,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? I've got Graham Parsons and I've got the Stones Exile on Main Street.
Right,
Exile on Main Street is one
right.
of my that's a you know that's a done deal. I gotta have it. I,
You
I
got the
always gotta have a
GP
copy.
album, the first Graham
Yes, I
one?
have
Yeah.
GP. Yep, and I have to have Exile. I have to have
Oh
Exile. I
yeah.
have to have Graham, and those obviously because of Keith and Graham, those worlds kind of
Yeah,
intertwined.
right.
But dude, I mean, for me, Graham Parsons was the one who all of a sudden it was like you didn't have to be an Eagles level singer.
Hmm.
Like Dylan was not a great singer
Right, right.
or Neil Young or any of that stuff, right? But like Graham, he was actually like here's why I appreciated it. But he would have out of key moments,
Hmm.
like he was reaching for something or he didn't get there or whatever, and it didn't matter. He was so I forget who said it, what interview I read, but like Graham was playing, I guess it was probably the Troubadour. And this guy goes, the Troubadour was full of these waitresses and stuff, hard women who had had hard
Hmm.
lives. And he said Graham would play, and like these hardened waitresses who'd been on the scene forever would be weeping.
Wow, that's a
He's
great
like, that's
story.
what Graham Parsons could do in a room.
Yeah,
And and then Exile on Main Street, of course, is the blueprint. There
right.
is no Southern Harmony without
Harmony
Exile
without
on
it,
Main
right?
Street. I mean, for me, it's got everything. It's got the blues. It's got Rocks Off. It's got Sweet Virginia's on there, Tumbling Dice, and that's where Bobby Keys sax and Jim Price. The horns are really coming together. It's a beautiful album. It's loose. They're super high. They'd been in France at Keith's, castle or whatever he rented, or and
Right.
they just all lived there. I mean, I think Mick would come and go, but some of the guys, Bobby Keys, Jim Price, those guys were living there, and they made Exile on Main Street, which is, if I didn't have it, I don't have Southern Harmony. If I didn't
Yeah,
have it,
for
I don't
sure.
have bands like the Dead String Brothers that I love so much. Any of those, cool. You don't have uh, you know, I think they were a late 80s, 90s band, the Four Horsemen, right? This band,
Yeah.
Rockin' is my business and business is good.
Blackberry
Good.
Smoke.
Yeah,
Blackberry
right.
Smoke, yeah.
Sure,
That's all Exile. So yeah, those
sure,
are my two. All
for
right,
sure.
where are we headed to? Is it Drew?
Drew.
I think yeah. I'll do two real quick. and talk more about one than the other, but I had on my list for vocal performance and bass and drum execution, the Jesus Christ Superstar soundtrack. And I don't know
Oh,
if you guys are hip to
wow.
that,
Wow.
dude. It's one of those. If
There's
I'm
one that's in
honest,
the house growing up.
it's
Yeah.
just in it, and I always grab it. I always go for it when I want to hear. Just Murray Head, who sang "One Night in Bangkok." He plays one of the roles. Amazing, influential record. But the other one I'll mention is Heart's Dreamboat Annie, which
Yeah.
is basically
Oh,
their,
wow.
they're like, and I think my dad had that one growing up, and we'd always go for it, and it was different because it, like, to be completely honest, it's like it was my first introduction to how hard females bring it in rock and roll, especially Ann Wilson's flute playing is Jethro Tull-esque against all those great guitar riffs. It
Right.
is like there's just moments of just perfection on that record. Yeah, and I love
A
that record. Top
forgotten
to
band.
bottom.
A forgotten band.
Yeah,
Heart is a
yeah,
forgot. Even with me, it's like I forget just number one. I mean, 70s radio is heart heavy,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
All those great heart songs. But I mean, you talk about women rocking, and I know I don't mean for it to sound sexist, but
no,
again, there wasn't much of that, right?
there
You didn't
wasn't.
have a
Yeah,
ton of that. And then, I mean, the Zeppelin thing, if you love Zeppelin, you loved Heart.
you loved Heart, right?
That's
Yeah, they were
the
called Little
blueprint.
Zeppelin.
Well,
Yeah,
and rightly so. The other thing they always do and always deliver is a Zeppelin cover. Man, they
yeah,
can
for
cover
sure,
Zeppelin. And
for sure.
what's the I think they might be on like the soundtrack for Singles, the movie
They
Singles,
do
the
Battle
grunge
of
movie.
Evermore.
Well,
Yeah,
they're
Yes, and it's
yeah,
awesome,
and it's
man. It's
amazing.
yeah, with Jimmy
amazing.
Page. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Well,
cool.
they're on the Alice in Chains EP too. Sap.
Yes,
Oh
they
yeah,
are.
yep,
Yes,
yep.
they
They're
are.
they're really good friends with those guys. They talked about it in their book how they would have those guys over and feed them and stuff because they were all poor and broke.
And they were
Yeah,
heart. They were heart.
they
Yeah,
were.
I mean,
but they had good
how cool.
relationship with all those cats,
Yeah,
so that was
That's
but
really
just
respect
cool.
too. Those guys
just
respect.
killer rock and rollers. The
Yeah.
the Wilson sisters and the guys in the band at that time too
Oh
were
yeah,
Oh, the
the whole
Fisher
band.
brothers,
the
yeah,
Fisher brothers. Exactly. You know what I mean?
yep.
Love that record, top to bottom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mistral Wind by Heart. That's one of the best
Yeah.
songs ever. I'd love that tune. It's not on that record, but
No, I think that's Little Queen, maybe. I don't
yeah,
know.
I think so.
I wonder how come like Ann Wilson's touring by herself a lot now.
Well,
Is Nancy not into it, or
They're
are they
going
no,
just
out
they
this summer
yeah,
with
they
Cheap
they they got
Trick.
back together.
Oh, I
They got
saw
back
that.
together.
I did
They had
see
a
that.
falling
Because
out, and they just got back together like family does.
yeah, right,
Yeah, yeah,
right.
they're
Um,
going out with Cheap Trick.
Which
yeah,
will be
so
great. And there's a night of rock and roll for you.
Oh,
yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna try to
That's
go.
that's good Midwest living right there. You
That's
know, I
it
should
sure
really
is.
I should take an old Camaro to that gig, maybe a Cutlass Supreme or something.
Cool.
All right, what do I got next? I'm gonna cram two together that always come up for me, always will come up for me. Scott, you got any guesses? Give me one of them that always comes up. Can't live without album. Oh, he draws a blank. I'm
Oh,
embarrassed.
Appetite for Destruction.
Oh no, no. Under the Wishing Tree by Charlie Sexton
Oh, Charlie
Sextet.
Sexton Sextet. Yes.
Drew, have you heard this album, Under the Wishing Tree by Charlie Sexton?
I have not
Dude,
yet.
it's killer. If you're, I mean, it's it sounds like the Southwest.
Mhm.
It's very deserty
Yep.
and tumbleweedy. I know that because I use those terms when I'm trying to rip it
I-
off. I'm like,
I'm already in.
I want it to sound real deserty, and I get my Bigsby and drench everything in
Yeah,
reverb, and
right,
it never
right,
works.
right.
Never works. Um, so Under the Wishing Tree by Charlie Sexton, and I liked Charlie Sexton from his solo career, from Beat So Lonely and Impressed. He had this 80s career, big Robert Smith looking hair,
Yep,
and
yep.
he was good looking dude. So Under the Wishing Tree, and I cannot tell you how I got this album. I don't know where I heard it, how I found it. Honest to God, I have no idea. I mean, obviously I knew Charlie Sexton, but I don't know why I ended up with this album, and thank God I did. And then my other one is Uncle Tupelo's Anodyne.
Mhm.
Yes. Mine
And I
too.
had to have a Tupelo record, and it could have been No Depression, and it could have been Still Feel Gone or March. But I picked Anodyne because it was their fully formed It was their major label record.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was the other thing about Anodyne that always blows me away is it was live, recorded live, no overdubs. So that's Lloyd Maines on steel, Natalie Maine's dad, I think.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And it's seamless. They played those songs together,
That's amazing.
you know, amazing, amazing. So, and it sounds, again, Anodyne has that almost that same thing that Under the Wishing Tree has. I call it openness or,
Mhm.
you know, space, whatever. And I'm not good at that sometimes. I need, you know, making stuff up, you know, making up my own little songs. It's like I forget sometimes that it's cool to let them have space where you're not saying anything, but the
Right.
music is saying something for you. So yeah,
Super
Anodyne
cool.
and Under the Wishing Tree. What do you got next, Drew?
So we doubled up on Southern Harmony. So that's 10 for me.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
Well, and of course, because how can you not? I would
Yeah.
own the Southern Harmony just for the clothes, just because their clothes
Right,
were so
right.
freaking cool.
Dude.
Where do people
Yeah.
like that shop? You know, where do you?
Yeah.
That's been a lifetime. I was just talking to my friend Todd Long about this because we were talking about the new Tuck Smith record, and it's cool. Tuck's got a new record out, and it's like Tuck Smith lost his guitar player. Ricky Dover Jr. went to Grace Potter's band. He's touring
Mhm.
with Grace Potter.
Mhm.
And
Right.
Ricky Dover is the man. He's like
He's
Jimmy Page. He's
badass.
so cool. And then Tuck gets a new guitar player, and it's another skinny
Another
guy in
guy,
kick-ass clothes
kick-ass.
with a great guitar tone. It's like,
Listen,
where do these people come from, man?
yeah, they're out there.
They're out
They're out
there.
there.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to the grocery store later. They're not at my grocery store. I never see nobody's in line with me dressed like Rich Robinson in that red velvet
Yeah,
bell-bottom suit from Southern.
they don't eat so they can fit into it.
Yeah,
That's why
exactly.
they're not at the grocery store.
Exactly. Yeah. Do you want to wear these bell bottoms? Well, you're not grocery shopping, fatty.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
yeah, for sure.
You got
Coolest
anything to
looking guy.
close us out, Scott?
Yeah, I have two left, and one is more important to me than another. Well, they're both important to me, but one is called Little Rarities. It's a record by Tori Amos,
Oh, you love
Mhm.
and
her.
I got it at one of the CD shows. It's like a bootleg thing,
Mhm.
Okay.
and it's just live stuff and stuff that didn't make albums, and you know my love for piano and my
Yeah.
love for Tori, so it's killer. But one I cannot live without, and I can't not tell people about, is Americano from Roger Clyde.
I forgot.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Of course. Yep. Yep.
Super
We
cool.
have a couple friends who are huge Roger Klein and the Peacemakers fans too. They
Yeah,
go
they go
see
to
him in
Mexico.
Mexico to see him and everything.
Yeah.
I again, I liked that Refreshments record, the Big
Mhm.
and Buzzy, loud, whatever it
Busy,
is.
Buzzy, Big and Buzzy. Yep.
Yeah, yep, I like that. I have not dove into Roger Klein deeply, although I should because so many people I respect love him. Maybe I'll do that on I have a drive coming up today, so maybe I'll listen.
Yeah,
Of course,
Americano is just a
I
masterpiece.
got to listen to Sloan too. I got a big day ahead of me.
Yeah, I know, me
Oh,
too. Dada,
Dada, yeah.
Stone. I got, yeah. But, you know, Roger, what he's done for my family, just
yeah, killer,
he's
killer.
the
So cool.
man.
I'm going to close us out with my final pick from 1983. It's an album. What do you got? You're pointing at me.
No, I'm trying to think of what it is.
I'm trying to think
Lay
of
it
what
out.
it is too.
Lay it out. You guys aren't going to get it because it's not Americana at all. I'll even let you know. I'll let you know it's a metal record. I'll give you that much.
I was going to say, are there leather pants involved?
Duh. Complete, not just leather pants, my friend. Complete leather outfits for Judas Priest screaming for vengeance.
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
I
Wow.
gotta always have it because I love that was a great album. It was a great time in my life. You got another thing coming, Electric
Mhm.
Eye, Hellion, Bloodstone. I could go on and on. My kid likes it. I like it. It was a big album for me. They blew through town in '83 on the Screaming for Vengeance tour, and it was so funny because they had come to the local arena, and then like the next day at school, the elementary, because it's 1983, the elementary kids and the high school kids eat lunch in the same lunchroom. I'm not kidding, dude. I don't know. 75% of the kids are in Judas Priest screaming for
The
vengeance
new
shirts.
shirt. Oh,
And
dude.
I'm like, man, that's killer, you know.
That's
And
awesome.
Priest,
Was
yeah. So
it a greater
so
badge
good.
of honor than wearing a concert shirt to school after seeing one? I don't
Dude,
know, man.
dude, I tell my son because he's a rock shirt guy. He's got like he's got Sabbath and Weezer and the Great Affairs and all these shirts he wears to school, which is so cool. I tell the story that this is true. This is John Merchant laying the truth. I could do 2 weeks of school, which is 10 days, and not wear the same Iron Maiden shirt.
Oh no,
I was
let's go.
2 weeks deep in Iron Maiden
Wow.
shirts. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I was a burnout, next level burnout. So
Listen, and that's back in the day when you couldn't buy them at the mall. You know, you had to like
no, dude, you had
catalog
to go to
go to the
shows or catalogs, right?
bootlegs in the parking lot, man. That's where I
Dude, I
would
had a
go.
Nugent bootleg. I know where you
Yeah.
get that black and white jersey and the one sleeve's a little
One
longer
sleeve
than the
shorter
other,
than the other,
and you
but it was
wash it and
affordable.
it's instantly screwed.
I have a
Instantly
couple of
screwed.
those.
Yeah.
Yep, I
You're
have a
like,
couple of
oh
those.
man, now
Yeah.
I got this cheap trick shirt that my belly sticks out of and one sleeve. And you can't read anything on it. It says,
Oh,
peep
yeah.
peepic or something. Everything else is falling off. Those
So
bastards
cool.
in the parking lot.
Yeah,
Oh,
so cool.
Well, killer. And first of all, great list, you guys. What
yeah.
killer list.
For sure.
Just and Drew, obviously we got to have you back for if you'll be so grace us
Oh,
with your presence again
I would
sometime.
love to come back.
Yeah.
Um,
Petty episode.
Yeah,
Let's go.
definitely. And you know what's funny is we have so you play in your Petty tribute. We have a friend up here in Michigan who fronts a Petty tribute
Amazing.
called American Heartbreakers, and they're cool. We all love Jack Lever. He did some openers for my Neil Young tribute when I had that. He did an acoustic Petty thing opening, and it was really
Awesome.
cool, man.
Oh, yeah.
And he knows all the obscure,
Yeah.
Petty stuff too. And that we were talking about that too, is how hard it would be. Like you said, how do you get a set list?
Yeah. Yeah.
And even if you went, dude, we're just doing hits, you don't have
Right.
enough time.
Yeah.
No.
It's like, what, you're playing for 2 hours?
Exactly. Yeah.
And-
yeah.
and then-
It's a chore, but it's a wonderful problem to have, man.
Dude, I gotta see you guys. I will. Maybe we'll get you up here if you guys are
Dude,
doing some
yeah.
traveling. I
Actually,
always got
yeah.
gigs.
Yeah, we're actually talking about doing something up in Michigan. So
Then
hit
so it'd
be
me up.
closer to y'all. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we'll get
Promote
you some stuff.
anything
For sure.
upcoming you have, Drew.
yeah, Full Moon Fever at Natalie's in Columbus, Ohio. March. We're doing back-to-back nights, March 8th and 9th. Tickets are on
Nice.
sale. And then May 4th at the Madison Live in Covington, Kentucky, which is right across from Cincinnati. So
Killer,
we have all that.
man.
Let's
And
go.
you have a record of
A
your
record.
own.
Big
You're
Mood will
working.
be
Big
coming
Mood.
out. Just got one more mix to go and mastering, and then and I'll send some of that your way.
Please do.
Check
We would.
out.
Yeah.
we would
Great.
Yeah,
love it,
for sure,
Mr.
man.
Benting. Do you have any words of wisdom to leave us with today?
The Freaks come out at 9, and it's 20 to 10.
Everybody, take care. Drew, thanks for being here, buddy.
Thanks,
We
Drew.
love you,
Good
man.
talking to y'all.
See
Peace.
you
See you,
next
brother.
time, everybody.
See you guys.
See you guys.